What's up, guys? Thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review Real Housewives of Potomac. This is season 9, episode 16. And my apologies if you clicked on this video and you was ready to see my face. It's not going to be that type of video. I'm currently battling, I don't know what. I hope it's just, fatigue, but I feel like I might be getting sick because everybody around me is getting sick. But I wanted to get this video out so I do not fall behind. So let's get into it. So y'all know sometimes before we get into the review, we get a little spicy, just a little bit. So I just got a few things I want to talk to y'all about. So first up, let's talk about Miss Giselle. So y'all remember when they were on their last day of Panama and they were flying out and they were having breakfast, they showed us a flashback scene where Giselle was being questioned by the ladies about Jamal Bryant's, wife, but fiance at the time. And so Giselle ended up being like, it's no comparison because I think either Wendy or Mia, one of the ladies ended up saying, like, do you think she looks like you? And she was like, girl, there's no comparison. Well, I think her name is Carrie, got online to like say her piece. So this was posted by the Bravo Shade Room, and it says this: Dr. Carrie, Jamal Bryant's new wife, seemingly responds to Giselle's comment, "Not in my league. Being a mean girl ages you." So it says this: put me at a table where women support other women. Being a mean girl ages you, honey. And who has the time for that when you can be living, loving, and glowing and aging gracefully? It's the glow for me. Drop a chair, sis, if you got room at your table. Hashtag celebrating my birthday. Hashtag women who support women. Hashtag black girl magic. Hashtag joy. Hashtag the women are glowing 25. Now, I don't have an issue with her responding, but I also feel like, girl, let that lady say what she was going to say. Like, to me, Giselle's comment, was it shady? Yes, but if I'm sitting at a table with my girlfriends and we talking about my ex-husband's wife and his wife that didn't create a relationship with his children because the girls didn't even know you guys were getting married. They only knew you as his friend. Girl, of course I'm going to be shady. Of course I'm gonna be shady. I don't think they look the same, but it's kind of interesting saying that you're glowing when you have a massive filter on your video that you posted. But I'm gonna let the lady live. So go off, sis. So next, let's talk about a scheduling update. So it looks like next week will be the season finale episode, and then part 1 of the reunion will be airing on February the 16th. So I also did some digging. It's looking like it's about to be a 3-part reunion. That's what Wikipedia is saying, with the last part being on like March the 2nd. But I was praying for a 2-parter because I don't know how they're going to make this into 3 parts. I don't know. So, since we're talking about the reunion, let's talk about Karen. So, it looks like Karen was able to push back her sentencing date. Karen was supposed to be sentenced tomorrow, which would be Wednesday, January the 29th. But she's still in rehab. She's flying in today back to DC, I guess, just in case they told her no, they weren't going to push back the date in order to stand trial for her sentencing. But luckily, the judge was nice enough to say, okay, we'll push it back to February the 26th, mainly because Karen is trying to finish out her rehab program. And she also fired her legal team and got new counsel. I read all of this in a reality blurb article. I'll definitely put it down in the link to it to the down in the description box below. But she fired her legal team, got a new legal team, and they were advocating on her behalf, saying that because Karen was in the rehab facility, they haven't been able to talk to her. It looks like contact is very limited in there. So they were hoping that they got this extension in order to talk to Karen once she gets out of the program and figure out a game plan as to how they're going to help her get a fair sentence. I don't really have a problem with that because I feel like either way, Karen is going to have to face consequences. She's already facing them now. A lot of people who were, La Doms or Grand Doms who really supported Karen have withdrawn their support. She's being ridiculed by a lot of people. Like, she embarrassed her husband, embarrassed herself, embarrassed her family and her kids. So I feel like it's weird that people want to nail Karen to the cross. We already knew that Karen was a liar. So everyone acting like she hasn't faced consequences, I feel like the public humiliation is enough, if you ask me, because people gonna be throwing in her face that she called herself Thomas Jefferson's concubine until she get off of reality TV, okay? And so I still think even with this extension, she's still going to have to face consequences. I see Karen probably being sentenced to maybe 15 to 30 days at like the county jail, having to do extensive community service and pay a hefty fine and possibly getting her license revoked. That is what I see for her. But I feel like you need to have the right lawyers around you to advocate something fair like that, in my opinion. So I don't think it's anything wrong with her pushing this back. So the last thing we're going to talk about is Mia being on Watch What Happens Live with Miss Quad, Miss Quad, Miss Quad. You know what's hilarious to me is that I heard about Mia's performance on Twitter before I saw the clips on Instagram. I saw so many people talking about how like they were like, girl, Andy and Quad were not featuring Mia last night. And I said, girl, what? So I said, sometimes the girls and the boys on Twitter gas things up and make it seem more than what it is. So I said, let me slide over to Instagram and see what it's hitting on. The girls and the boys were not lying. When I tell you, it was giving very much like they were annoyed and not impressed by Mia. Like, Mia definitely is Icarus. She flew too close to the sun. Her wings got burnt and now she is falling into the river. Because I really think she thought this season was going to be her season. And girl, this is not the case. Even with Karen's whole DUI and the humiliation that's happening with her, the people are still equally, if not a little bit more, mad at you for the games you played. Because let me play this clip for you guys. Just listen to the audio. Just listen to the audio, bro.
G and I live an extraordinary life.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, but I don't feel like ordinary people will ever understand.
Okay. Oh. Are you calling Quad and I ordinary?
No.
Okay.
That's the last time I checked, baby, I was extraordinary.
Okay.
Last time I checked, you were everything.
Thank you very much.
I'm just saying when I run it through the lab. That's
Well,
what
I do want to tell you, Mia.
I'm calling Karen in.
When I tell you, this clip tickled me because it was the way that Andy was like, so you calling me and Quad ordinary? And Mia had to clean it up really quickly because it's like, yeah, that's what you just said. And she was like, no, I'm calling Karen and Ray that. But I'm also like, Mia, what in your life do you classify as extraordinary? Like, what about your lifestyle makes it extraordinary? Because to me, it just seems chaotic and messy. Because when I hear someone say, or they do actually live an extraordinary lifestyle, what I think of is people being able to like drop everything and go on vacation. Like, I think of people, case in point, what's her name? Dr. Nicole from Real Housewives of Miami. When her and Anthony were like, hey, they wanted to go get brunch in New Orleans and he has his piloting license, they got on his plane, flew him, Martina and Julia to New Orleans to eat brunch at this restaurant that they really like. That's an extraordinary lifestyle. Or somebody having so much money to be like, hey, you know what? I want some really good sushi. And they charter a plane to Japan. That to me is living an extraordinary lifestyle. What you got going on over there is not extraordinary. You need an evaluation. So the next two clips I want to play is going to be Andy asking Mia about how she felt about the verdict with Karen, as well as her saying that she felt blindsided by G, doing the paternity test.
First of all, we got a lot of questions wanting to know what your reaction to Karen's guilty verdict was.
Oh my gosh. Listen, I always knew she was guilty.
Okay.
Sorry, I did. But I am sad that it has rolled out the way that it has.
Yes.
Like, it's very, 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 very sad. I really feel like if she would have just owned up to what she did, then we wouldn't all know. Like,
Well, you had been advocating, not in the softest way, that she go to rehab.
Yeah.
And so now that she is in rehab, what's your reaction to
I'm
that?
very happy for her. I really am. I want her to get the help that she needs.
And would you girls not give her a hard time if she returns to the show?
Oh my gosh, I would love her to come back.
But I didn't ask about coming back.
I would have
giving
loved
her a hard time.
No, I wouldn't give her a hard time.
Okay.
I actually wanted her to be transparent and tell us what she was going through so we can be there for her.
I couldn't understand the whole paternity thing, Tess. When they told you about it, was it a surprise to you? Did you know about it?
So when Karen came and told me what Dee said, honestly, you know, it was a surprise to me, Andy, honestly. It really, really was.
It was?
Because, let me tell you why.
Okay.
First of all, I have never come to these ladies and shared with them that I question the paternity of my child.
Okay.
Never. That's their father. But for me, I feel like it's none of their business.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I would have never said, hey, guys, like, I don't know who my kid's father is. It's not the case.
But then when you were in the car with Ink, I couldn't understand, because you acted like, yes, I know, and then in the car with Ink, you're like, well, I don't know, he could have swabbed himself twice.
Yes. No, I honestly do not trust Gordon's test, and that's why I feel like I have been asking Gordon to do a formal test. I don't know why he went behind our back, but I do feel like this could have all been squashed a long time ago if everybody would just be mature.
So I expected Mia's response to the DUI to be that. I just wanted to bring it up mainly because we've heard from Wendy, Ashley, Giselle, Robin, and she's not even on the show. The only people we haven't heard from the only people we haven't heard from now is Stacey, Kiarna, Jazzy, or Jacqueline, but we'll probably hear from them when it comes time for their reunion. When it comes to the paternity test, I think Mia's full of it. I also feel like in some weird way, Mia really wants Ink to be the father of Jeremiah, because it's clear as day that Jeremiah and Juju's daddy is Gordon. They look like Gordon. Jeremiah and Juju look too alike for me to think that they got a different daddy. Like, that's just what it is for me. But let's get into this review. All right, y'all. So honestly, to me, nothing much really happened in this episode, and I feel like they could have kept it, but let's get to it. So it opens up where it left off, where Karen and Mia are going back and forth, and Mia is pissed because she ends up telling Karen, girl, I just found out a week ago about, Gordon taking the paternity test and everything. And Karen's like, Mia, girl, you've been lying, because Gordon said that he took it weeks ago and you known about it. So then Mia's like, okay, Karen, okay, so let's get off of my life and let's talk about your life, you being a drunk and like opening up your legs to any man that will have you. And Karen's like, Mia, that's all cute and everything, but nothing you can really say could check, could shake my character. The truth of the matter is you've been lying. So everybody is just looking at them argue back and forth like dumbfounded. Stacey is in her confessional saying like, this feels like an ambush and I don't think this is right what they're doing to Mia. So they go back into the building because Mia's like, you know what, I'm over this. I'm about to leave. So then Stacey ends up telling Mia like, hey, don't leave, just stay. She also tries to prompt Mia to like clear up the conversation because she's like, girl, they're saying that you're a liar, clear it up. And Mia's like, I don't need to clear up anything about my children. Do you need to clear up anything about your child? Does Karen might need to clean up her things about Raven? We don't even know if Ray's the father of Raven. And so Karen hears that and she's getting irritated because she's peeping that Stacey's not telling Mia like, girl, chill out, calm down, like stop that, like you doing too much. And so Karen's like, okay, I see you, Stacey. I see you. So then Wendy goes over there and she's like, Stacey, like, whose side are you on? Are you on her side? Are you on because it's getting kind of confusing, like whose side you on? So Stacey ends up saying, like, I think any information about like someone's kids you should talk to their mother. Like, you shouldn't be ambushing everybody. Like, you shouldn't be doing this in front of everybody. You should be telling this to her. And so I'm like, okay. But it's funny to me that Stacey is like actually like trying to hitch her wagon to Mia, because I'm like, wasn't it Mia who was saying that you were stiff and that your Valley Girl accent was phony and that you were boring? Like, she was picking at you in the beginning of the season, but now all of a sudden y'all cool. I'm like, okay, girl. All right, Stacey. I definitely think that Stacey's whole, like, I'm a ditzy kind of chick thing is like a farce and that's not really her. I don't really know what game Stacey is trying to play at, but I'm just kind of like, I would not align myself with a liar. Now, I'm not saying that she couldn't keep the same stance that she had, that Karen should have pull Mia to the side and talk to her one-on-one. If she really does feel like any information about a child, you should contact or like have a conversation with the parent. I'm not saying she can't stand on that, but I just think it's weird that you're trying to align yourself with somebody who, like, if I was Stacey and I was new to the group, listening to Mia talk, eventually I would be like, there's something wrong with her stories. Even if I didn't really know Mia for who she was, all the chaos that goes around with her, it just feels like somebody's not being honest. So I'm like, girl, your power of discernment is very off. Very off. So they all go sit down and we end up seeing Josh. We end up seeing Jazzy pull up. We see, Josh get introduced to, what's it called? Sheila, Uncle Lump, and all of them. And the vibes are vibing. We then see the MC pull up. They start hosting the show. It seemed like a fun time. And then Ashley comes out, Mr. Ashton. I'm not going to lie. I felt this whole entire thing was cringy. And maybe it's because I know Ashley. If I didn't know Ashley, I probably would feel something different. Like I've been like, okay, this is cool. But I guess it's because I know who Ashley is based off of this show. I was like, ugh. But I am glad that she had all the people around her that supported her. Her mom was hype. Josh was throwing ones at her. The ladies were having a good time. She pulled Karen on stage. I was not ready for her to like rip off her jacket and we just see titties. And she got a nice set of like implants. Now, do they move? No, but were they sitting? Yes. They were sitting. And so it just seemed like everybody was having a good time dancing and just having fun. And it does kind of show that Josh is a keeper, that he was okay with this display of Ashley's art and he still was having a good time with her and still making jokes and like hyping her up and everything. So then we get this scene where I think it's Karen, Wendy, Giselle, Ashley, and then Jacqueline. And I was like, Jacqueline, why are you there? Why are you there? Also, I just feel like Jazzy, before I talk about this scene, Jazzy, I don't know why she played herself, because the rumor online is the reason why we didn't see a lot of Jazzy after, a couple of episodes was because she was chasing after that man. And if that is true, she's stupid. She's so stupid. Because I was like, girl, you started off so strong and then you turned into a dud. That's just it. But we get back to the conversation where the ladies are telling Ashley, like, girl, Mia been lying. Jacqueline was like, well, Gordon lies too. I said, Jacqueline, shut up. Shut up. Be quiet. And so Ashley's like, so this BB lying. And I hate that they took out, what's her name? Giselle saying Mia's a bad mother. And I don't know if she was saying this towards Mia or to somebody else. But I'm like, why did y'all take that clip out? Why did y'all take that out of the scene? Like, are we going to see that in a flashback? It's getting more and more annoying with the production company that produces Real Housewives of Potomac, because they oftentimes show scenes that are in the super trailer or the mid-season trailer that we don't see play out in the season. Like, what's the point of you showing it in the trailer if I'm not going to see it during the season? That's dumb. It's so stupid. So the next scene we see is with Giselle, Ashley, Karen, and Kiarna meeting up. And they're going out for brunch and they start talking about the Mia situation. And Karen is just pretty much like, I'm done with her. And Giselle ends up saying, like, I used to think you guys were being too hard on her and pretty much like trying to paint this bad picture of her. But I'm now realizing that no, everybody was right about Mia. And she's not to be trusted. And I just feel like Giselle saying that is so ironic when Giselle fell into the same trap that Monique, aka the Bird Lady, fell into. Because people only liked Monique and went up for Monique Samuels because she was in an adversarial role against Candace, Giselle, and Robin. Once she got away from them and she was on a show by herself with a new cast, everybody started to see that lady for her works. now that Candace is gone and Giselle doesn't really like, she can't really beef with Wendy, she now has to really see Mia for who she is, because Giselle only liked Mia because Mia was in an adversarial role against Wendy and Candace. And now that that has been turned on her, all of a sudden it's like, oh, I see her for who she is. When it's like, girl, you should have saw her during season 1. That's what you should have saw. So then, while they're sitting at the table, Kiana decides to bring up the conversation that she had with Greg, saying that she really needed this time with the ladies. And then she gets really emotional, and all of the women are looking at her like, what's going on? And so she basically says that Greg don't want her to be a part of the show. And that is something that they've been fighting a lot about, as well as living together has been a lot for her. And she's just like, she just doesn't know anymore. And Ashley ends up saying that she totally understands why Greg would be apprehensive with her being on this show. And she was just like, because, they start pulling out your skeletons. And if you're not ready, you're not ready. Giselle actually gives really good advice where she ends up being like, I'm going to tell you this, and this is just tough love. Anybody that's supposed to be your support system, supposed to be there for you, and they're not doing that, then that's not somebody you need to be around. And then Karen says in her confessional, I don't like the way that Greg makes her feel small and makes her dim her light, because that's not going to go away. That's going to continue, and it might get worse. And to be honest, I'm so sick of hearing about Kiana and Greg's issues, because she is trying to present this man like he's something to be desired and treasured. All the while, you're clearly in a relationship that you're not happy in, that you're trying to fake being happy in, just so you can say that you got the ring, that you got married. Because as the conversation continues, she ends up saying that, she's made a lot of compromises for him. And she's just like, the fact that he can't compromise on this just says a lot to her. And I'm just like, girl, let him go. My thing is, I don't know what Greg is doing for Kiana for her to feel like she needs to tether herself to him. Like, it'd be one thing if you were marrying somebody that has this great career, he treats you right, and he was apprehensive about this. But no, you're trying to marry somebody who keeps telling you you have to jump through hoops in order to get his validation, in order for you to get this ring. And you shouldn't have to overly audition to be in somebody's life. You just shouldn't. There should be requirements and boundaries and things that you acquire from somebody for them to be in your life. But you shouldn't have to go through all of this to get this. This is beyond me at this point. And I'm sick of hearing about this. So the next scene we see is of Mia going to pick up Ink at the airport. She's super duper excited, and they get in the car together. We find out that the kids are with a nanny, I guess. And Mia ends up being like, I'm so happy that you're here. So then Ink ends up telling her, well, Gordon reached out to me and told me that he took a paternity test and that you have the results and you had them for weeks, and he was hoping that I shared them with you because he's like, Jeremiah is his son. And so Ink ends up being like, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't believe that he took a test. I don't believe that the results are real. I think they're fake. And so then Mia's like, well, no, he definitely did take a test. I don't know if the results are viable, but I definitely have results in my inbox. So then Mia ends up saying that I don't know why he just won't go and us take an official test versus him doing one by himself, an at-home test or going to another facility. And so Mia is just like, yeah, I feel bad for Ink because this is just a lot. We're trying to maneuver, me leaving my marriage and getting with him. So then Ink kind of catches an attitude where he's just kind of like, it's always about Gordon this, Gordon that. But then I'm like, Ink, you're stupid because she's still legally married to this man. I don't even think Mia has filed legal separation paperwork. Because if they are getting a divorce in the state of Maryland, Georgia, or DC, you have to be separated legally for a year. And I don't think Mia has done that. So I'm like, of course she has to run all her things by Gordon because that is the father of her kids. Why are you being this way, stupid? This is why that man had to break up with her, because he looks stupid. because you're like, it's Gordon this, Gordon that. And then he kind of copped an attitude with Mia because yeah, he copped an attitude with Mia because he said something about like, I need to talk to Gordon before or something or beforehand because he confused me. And Mia was like, oh, so you want me to contact Gordon or call Gordon? And he was like, why you bringing up Gordon? And she's like, well, baby, you just said Gordon's name and wanting to talk to him. He said, I said before. I said, you're not making sense. You getting on my nerves and I don't even, like, I'm not even in a car with you. You confusing me, sir. And so I'm just like, yeah, this is stupid. I'm just like, Ink, at the end of the day, that's still Gordon's wife. Mia is still legally married to him. And it is what it is, babes. It is what it is. So the next scene we see is of Stacy and Ashley going to the shelter. We find out that Stacy is a part of like a foundation that works on getting shelter animals forever homes. More times than not, it's better for you to get a shelter animal than go to a breeder. Just throwing that out there, okay? So pretty much Ashley and Stacy are looking at the animals. We find out that Stacy's event is supposed to be like a fashion show, but they're going to be walking down the runway with dogs that are up for adoption. And so they're just there to see which dogs that they want to pick. And we also saw that she invited all the ladies. She did a video message with Arabella, really cute little thing. So Ashley and Stacey starts talking about their divorces and their mediation. Stacey says, her and Ashley started off rough. She put her foot on my counter, but they've been able to lean on each other for, the whole divorce situation. And she feels a lot closer to Ashley. So she ends up telling Ashley that she's waiving child support. And Ashley was like, girl, what are we doing? Why are we doing that? Like the look of concern in Ashley's face was like, girl, are you stupid? Like, why are we doing that? Like, why wouldn't you want to protect yourself? And so Stacey gives the same statement about like she knows her husband and he's never not done for Arabella. And then Ashley also says what the lawyer said last episode. She was like, well, what if he gets married and things shift? And she was like, well, I know my husband. He's not going to be your husband anymore come probably the end of this year. He is somebody that you're actively divorcing. And like a lot of people have said before, you never know how people will react to you during a divorce. Like people get nasty during divorces. It's not just men, women as well. Everybody goes into like survival mode and trying to protect themselves and protect things that they find are important to them and will do anything at all costs to protect the girl. I used to watch Snapped all the time. Them women used to be taking their husbands out when it came time for divorces and vice versa. So be smart about this, please. So then Ashley starts talking about her situation where we find out that her and her lawyer are about to go on like the defense because her and Michael are kind of at a stalemate because Michael wants her to sign that paperwork saying that she can't talk negatively about him like on the show or in the press. And the lawyer, I like her lawyer because at first I was like, I don't know, this might be a fake person, like a fake lawyer in the sense of like, this might not be her lawyer. But that lady said, girl, what are you doing? Like, do you want to live your life like this forever? Like, we got to put some things into action. So we find out that the lawyer is proposing doing a like public, I guess, announcement or a decree or something of that sort, where, normally when people announce that they're getting a divorce, they state like irreconcilable differences. But Ashley was saying like, it could be a nice one or a spicy one where they basically end up saying like, he cheated on me, he stole this from me, like really tarnishing the person's character. And I guess they're threatening to do that to Michael if he doesn't, comply with Ashley's demands because she does not want to sign that order or a part of their agreement that she can't speak about him, which I wouldn't sign it either. Cause I'm just like, if you do me dirty or you do me wrong, I'm gonna let people know. So don't play with me. But this is kind of like, I will say, I'm sick of the divorce talk, but if Ashley would have presented this type of storyline 2 seasons ago, I probably would be more invested. Because this is where I'm like, oh, okay, so y'all got a back and forth going. That's something I can get invested in. So then we see Kiana and Greg go on, a date night. Girl, I was annoyed and I was irritated, and I'm not even her. They're in the car trying to have a conversation. Well, she trying to have a conversation because Greg don't want to have the conversation on camera about like them arguing and fighting. He's real like dry with her, and she's just trying to like communicate with him. But I'm just like, girl, it's not the case. We see them go to this like really nice restaurant. They sit down, and Greg is not really wanting to like have the discussion that she wants to have. And so he basically says, I'm a man, you're a woman. Like, we see things very differently. And Kiana ends up being like, I have a problem with that because I feel like sometimes you don't hear me. I feel like oftentimes I feel dismissed by you, and I feel like I dim my light around you. And he's kind of looking at her like, sometimes you just need to chill the F out. And I said, oh, okay, Greg. And he was like, and I don't dismiss you. She starts to get emotional. And he's like, he was like, you about to cry? And she was like, yeah, because this means something to me because I feel like you don't hear me. And he's like, I do hear you and I don't dismiss you. Even though you're saying you don't dismiss her feelings, saying that and then proceeding to dismiss her feelings is dismissing her. I know that's like, what? I don't understand Greg, because in one vein he's like, I don't want to be on the show, I don't want to participate. That is your right, but you were cool with her participating last season, and I get that she got into that fight and all of that stuff, but like, that stuff is behind us. You clearly were fine with her being on the show when you were promoting your business. Why are you not fine with it now? I just feel like it's too much going on. And if I was Kiana, I would exit stage left. And I'm normally not the one that advocates for people to like end their relationships based off of being on TV. But this just seems like y'all need to actually like be in counseling, because it does seem like he is like hiding things. And I don't know, maybe he is just extremely uncomfortable on camera and he doesn't want to participate. But I definitely think like for you to be a social worker, there should be like, I know y'all take lessons in how to communicate and de-escalate situations, and you definitely were not doing that, sir. You weren't. So the next scene we get is them going to Vivian's boutique, because that is the designer that Stacy is going to highlight at her fashion show. So we end up finding out that Karen is not participating. She said this: congratulations, I regret that I cannot attend your event you sent out yesterday due to your comments and actions at Ashley's last event. So Stacy is like, I don't know what that means, if that means she's coming or not, but it definitely means that like I'm in trouble with Karen. So we end up seeing Wendy and Ashley get there. Then we see Giselle get there. Before Giselle gets there, Wendy ends up telling Stacy that, Mia was talking real crazy about, Karen, and you didn't say anything. And so Stacy is just like, I'm a little taken aback by that because I have defended and supported Karen. My thing about it is, when it comes to Stacy trying to align herself with Mia, is she's acting like everybody has been like dogging Mia out. It'd be different if the whole cast was just on Mia's neck. But up until now, everybody has pretty much been very supportive of Mia and her situation. It's been Karen who they've been trying since episode 1 with slick comments and trying to drag her about the case. And you saw the way that she got Jacqueline up off of her and things of that nature. And we've seen Stacy defend Karen, but to act like Mia just getting ambushed and chastised left and right for the actions that she has been taking is crazy to me. Because the only other time that the ladies questioned Mia about her behavior was at Wendy's birthday party, because what she did, her actions were very contradictory to what she told the ladies at the GNA event, which they had every right to question her. I don't get what Stacy's angle is at this point, because I'm like, has Mia shown you that she's somebody that you can rely on or trust? I think not. I don't think so. So we finally see Giselle get there. Giselle ends up being goofy basically saying that she don't really want to participate in the event because she was like, girl, you didn't ask, you just assumed we was gonna be in it. She was also like, you don't know if I'm allergic to dogs or if I'm afraid of dogs. I said, Giselle, I thought this argument was frivolous, but I found enjoyment in it because I was tickled. Because when Wendy started laughing, I started laughing. Stacey was annoyed, but because Giselle wasn't making sense, like she lost the plot after a while, but I thought it was funny. But Stacey ends up saying it's definitely given that I am being reprimanded for sticking up for Mia, and that's not what friends do. And I said, okay, Stacey. Okay, so then they tried to bring up the whole like Stacey should have told Karen about working with Vivian because the only reason we know Vivian is because of Karen. But then Stacey is like, girl, I've known Vivian longer than I've known Karen. So what are you talking about? It was a stupid argument. The plots were getting lost, but I didn't think it was that deep. They then bring up, Giselle ends up bringing up how Stacey has yet to contribute to her foundation, the GNA situation. And I'm just like, well, girl, you threw her out. Why would she give you money after being thrown out? Whether or not y'all cool or not, it is what it is. But I wasn't gonna give you no money after you throw me out, even if you had a second event. Like, what are we talking about? Like, Stacey was offended that she got thrown out. So then Giselle ends up being like, I'm gonna be at the event and I'll donate something that you don't do. And honestly, the argument wasn't that deep, and Giselle was just being aggy because she was laughing in the confessionals. Like it wasn't that deep. I just thought it tickled me because I was like, this is stupid, but okay. We winded down to the end of the season. Next episode will be the finale. There's nothing else for them to really talk about. So we then see Stacey in her confessional saying that Karen wants blind loyalty and I'm not going to give it to her. And I said, okay. So we then see Wendy sitting on her porch. Eddie comes out to talk to her, and we find out that she is going to be interviewing, I think, is it Kiana Jean Pierre, the White House secretary, press secretary for the Biden administration. And, she's really happy and excited. She's going to be interviewing her for her Dr. Wendy show. I don't understand the Dr. Wendy show schedule because Wendy has not updated her page since. Like, is this just something for TV? And if so, okay, but like, let's move away from the storyline, please, because you don't seem to be that invested in the talk show. In my opinion, I think a lot of people think that YouTube is so easy because it seems that way, but it definitely isn't. It's very tiring at times. It really is. So then we see a sit down with Stacey and Mia, and pretty much Stacey throws Karen under the bus, where she tells Mia, Karen told me I need to watch out for you, which I don't think was bad advice. And then that you are not of Potomac. And Mia ends up saying, is it of Potomac to be a drunk and running your car into trees? She also starts to lay on thick about Gordon being manic. And we see a flashback scene at Ashley's event where she actually contacted Gordon about, what he did with Ray. And she was just like, that's just a ailment of his disease. I said, okay, girl, whatever. So then Stacey ends up bringing up that, Karen told me that I should also not be cool with Wendy. So Stacey ends up saying that Karen told her that Wendy was entitled, self-absorbed, somebody you just don't really want to get close to. And Wendy is into herself, but then they show us a montage of Wendy sticking up for Karen, so it refutes what Karen has said about Wendy. We also see that Wendy decides that she wants to invite Karen with her to go see John, what's it called? The Secretary of Press at the White House. Like, she wants to invite her because Wendy invited her to, Karen invited her to Surrey County when she got the key to the city. So Mia's like, oh my gosh, does Wendy know about this? And she's like, Wendy is a girl's girl. So Mia is acting all shocked, and she's like, oh my gosh, once the truth gets out there, it's up for Karen, and the truth always comes to the light, which is true, but it's also true about Mia. What I will say about this scene is I do believe Stacey, because I remember the way Karen behaved season 5 when she met Wendy, acted like she didn't know her. It was a lot of xenophobia and colorism, in my opinion. So I was just like, yeah, she probably did say those things. But it's interesting because when they showed the flashback of Vivian Vivian, Stacy, and Karen, when we first met Stacy in the beginning of the season, Stacy was the one that was talking trash, talking about Wendy was poaching like board members when they were all sitting on a board. So it's giving like they didn't like Karen really didn't have to poison you to Wendy. You already had preconceived notions about the lady because you were around her. But it also, this shows a lot more about Stacy, because honestly, Karen not showing up to the event or not participating in the charity event should not warrant this type of move from Stacy. Like, I'm like, did Karen do something else and we just didn't see it? Because this level of betrayal kind of makes Stacy look like a snake, in my opinion. Like, is it that deep she's not participating? But I don't know. But yeah, y'all, that is it. That is all. As always, remember to be bravely authentic. Definitely hop down in the comments below and share your thoughts. Remember to like and subscribe. And I'm out, y'all. Deuces.